So as we were promised, this was a bit of a bread and butter budget, but they've really deferred the meat and potatoes. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, for example, the stage 3 tax cuts, we didn't see any movement on that. That's the real big thing hanging over the entire budget, really. There's this massive chunk of revenue that they are not taking advantage of. And what we're seeing from the budget predictions is that there are some pretty rocky times ahead. This current financial year is not too bad, but then in 23, 24, everything's kind of falling off a cliff. The economy is set to grow only 1.5%, which is pretty dire. And that's assuming that the rest of the world doesn't go into recession. But if it does, we're going to go into recession. The budget papers are pretty clear about that. Unemployment will probably rise about 1.5 percentage points. So there's a lot of risks. And it really does seem, as you say, it's a budget that it does some very good things, but it's kind of putting off the real big challenges, I think, for 7-8 months' time when we do the budget next year in the normal time. But there are some good things, such as in childcare and education, Eliza.
Yeah, so the government has delivered on its childcare promise, which means it's going to increase the subsidy for a lot of families. They said something like 1.2 million families are going to benefit from the subsidy scheme. I mean, this is a great start. Absolutely. Making childcare affordable is a really great way to increase female labour force participation, particularly in conjunction with a better paid parental leave scheme, which is also something that they delivered in this budget. Of course, it's not as much as we would like. It's 26 weeks in total. Not sure how that's going to be divided up between parents. And if we, look at Nordic models, particularly non-transferable leave schemes are definitely better for increasing uptake for parents. At this stage, we don't really know how that 26 weeks is going to be split up. And in fact, 26 weeks is like far, far below the OECD average of paid parental leave schemes. So, it's a good start, but it's definitely not the meat and potatoes. In terms of education, a similar type of story. So 20,000 additional places at university. In skill shortage areas, which is really good, and this is going to be targeted at disadvantaged students, and maybe it's going to help with accessibility issues, but probably not with affordability issues. The coalition government obviously introduced the job-ready graduate reforms. Those haven't been repealed. That increased tuition fees for students, and it also slashed university funding. So universities are still unaffordable, and universities still have less money to put into improving education and employment.
And one of the things we also see from this budget is that the problems with wages still continue. One of the good things, though, is we finally have a government that seems to not be trying to keep wages down and just saying, oh, don't worry, the market fairies will take care of it. The predictions for wages growth are still pretty optimistic, but at least we know with the coming industrial relations legislation that is set to be introduced this week, where they are seeking to allow multi-employer bargaining, raising the restrictions on employers increasing the restrictions on employers being able to terminate enterprise bargaining agreements in the bargaining process.
Getting rid of pay secrecy.
Getting rid of pay secrecy, abolishing the ACCC, all of these measures which by themselves are not going to do a lot, but it really just starts creating that foundation that is actually going to enable wages to grow in a way that for the past decade, we really haven't had. We've had governments trying basically to reduce the pressures on wages and actually take power away from employees. Now we're really getting that sense that this is a Labor budget with labour reforms on industrial relations that are actually going to enable wages to grow, hopefully by as much as are actually suggested in the budget, because we've had about a decade of predictions of good wages that just haven't arrived.
There was a headline today about the 1 million houses, social and affordable housing.
A good start again?
A good start. I mean, if they were really going to deliver 1 million social and affordable houses in the next 5 years, I think that's what they said. But, there's very little detail on this at this point. They've committed to 30,000 new social houses, social housing and 20,000 affordable houses. But it's not particularly clear where the rest of those houses, that the rest of that 1 million is going to come from.
And also they're still saying that the market is the one that's going to have to deliver it rather than the government really doing what it needs to do and start building some damn public housing.
Yeah. And it's definitely not going to do anything in the short term to fix the housing crisis.
So again, it's this case of the budget really is a good start. It's laying the foundations, but there are a lot of problems that still need to be solved, a lot of issues that need to be tackled. Thankfully, this government has got a few years to do them, but there certainly is no case of mission accomplished after today's budget.
Yeah, they're really kicking the can down the road, so all eyes will be on the May budget.